Welcome back to Homesteading with the Zimmermans, where we work hard and play hard on our little corner of land in Iowa. My husband and I were born and raised Old Order Mennonite, or horse and buggy Mennonite, as some refer to them as. And although we are no longer part of that culture or community, we are intentional about passing on the old-fashioned skills of our childhood to the next generation. Well, here we go. Going to pick up our new animal, or I should say we're going to meet our new animal and possibly bring it home. The chances of us bringing it home, I'd say, are pretty high. We're feeling pretty positive about this because we brought the trailer. Is that right, Dad? Yes. Behind us, yeah. Good morning, friends. I am making today's video all about our donkey friends. So now most of you, if you've been here a while, may have watched one of the very first videos we did about bringing home Dave, our second donkey at the time. And I'm going to link the video. I might be able to grab some clips and show you. So what happened is we bought a little spotted donkey about 5 years ago, and we bought her from people that had rescued her from a cattle feedlot. And she had been in a pasture with another donkey named Dave for a couple years, and there was a couple other donkeys too. Well, we brought Hosanna home, and not knowing that she was very, very bonded with her companion, Dave. And so for about 2 weeks, we tried to help this donkey bond with our cows. Because after all, she came from a cattle feedlot, right? So cows should be familiar with her. But the thing is, she was on that cattle feedlot not only with cows, she also had another donkey. She had Dave. So for about 2 weeks, all she did was bray unless we were with her. So we take her with us to the garden, and everywhere we went, we took this little donkey, and she was just very lonely and very sad. Like, she would bray when we left. She would stand at the fence and bray. So we made the decision to bring Dave home as well. So we went and we bought Dave, we brought him home, and their reunion made me cry. They were so happy together. Well, long story short, sadly, Hosanna passed away a few winters later, and we're not exactly sure why. Nobody knows how old she was. Nobody knows much history about rescue animals. So we just didn't really know why she passed away. It was during a very cold spell, and we don't know if, the cattle weren't letting her get enough feed, or if maybe the cattle were guarding her from the water. But by the time we discovered that she wasn't well, it was too late, and she went downhill from there. Anyway, so Dave, not being as dramatic as Hosanna was, is fine without a donkey friend. He doesn't bray at us a lot, but he spends a lot of time by himself. Even though we have cows up here with him, he still, spend a lot of time by himself. And knowing what we did, that donkeys really, really love to have a companion, we knew that we would eventually want to get another donkey. So, the story for today's video is about how we brought home another donkey and how that did not at all go as we expected, because the only experience we had in adding another donkey was to bring donkeys that already had a relationship. So The thing about Dave is he is a gelding, which means he's a male, but he's been castrated. So Dave is a gelding, and the donkey that we brought home is a jack, which means he is an intact male. And so we knew from doing a little bit of research that intact males tend to be a little bit more territorial than geldings. I've got a duck sitting up here on the fence. There you go, Mama Duck. So Dave has always been nothing but gentle with us in the family. And Dave is right up here eating his hay. And let me see. There is Jackson. So the story about Jackson. Come here, Jackson. Come here, boy. Come here. The story about Jackson is that he has never been with other donkeys. Since he's weaned from his mom, he's always been with cattle. And he did his job well. He liked to be with the cattle. He protected, the babies. But he's never been bonded with another donkey. And we just thought, all donkeys are going to be friends because donkeys are known to be such companion animals. Like they need each other. So we just thought that all donkeys were going to be friends. Well, that was not the case. Okay, so the lady that we bought Jackson from, she said, if it doesn't work out, please bring him home. And actually, we didn't buy him. She gave him to us. And she said, if it doesn't work out for you, please, I'll just take him back. And what happened is her husband had passed away, and they sold all their cattle, and she didn't want to have to go through another winter of taking feed all the way out to Jackson. So she decided to find him a new home.
Hey Dave, move it. Yeah, close the gate. He's a little guy.
What do you think, Dave? What do you think, David? He's so happy.
Dave looks huge.
I know, it makes Dave look so big. What do you think, Dave? Huh?
Hey Dave, come here.
He was so clean, but not anymore.
He doesn't care. He's like, I like this place.
Jack. What you doing? Are you so happy?
Jack.
He is happy.
Mom, you should say.
Are you so happy? I will.
Jack. No, Jack. No, it's Jack.
What do you think, huh?
He's like, no
Dave, be nice.
Be nice, Dave.
Dave, be nice. David.
Dave tried to kick it.
He did. He's like, it's okay. I'll go roll again.
On the other side.
He's got to roll on the other side now. Oh, good job. All the way over.
Gotta go fast, otherwise you get stuck. Dave.
He's too busy smelling. Yeah, you may. He's probably a little nervous because it's a new place.
Yeah. He's like, I've probably never been had this much pasture. This is like, whoa. He's like, I want to be friends. He's like, what is that? Is that like a donkey?
We brought Jackson home, and he thought it was his job to protect the cows from Dave. So Dave was not allowed to be next to the cows at all. And Jackson would chase Dave around this small pasture and keep Dave back there behind those concrete blocks. He would not let Dave come out to eat at the hay feeder or anything. Now, there is water back there, so we left it go for a bit. And a couple days, and we just thought, well, they'll adjust, they'll settle their differences, and they'll learn to get along. Well, they didn't. A week passed, and Jackson here was still not allowing Dave to come out from behind the block. So we started throwing some feed back there for David, but I wasn't happy with that. I'm like, when winter comes, we can't have anybody guarding the hay feeder when winter comes. That's just not a good idea. Hi, David. All right. So the other thing that happens is when I come out here to pet Dave, Jackson will often try to guard Dave from me. Like, he doesn't want Dave to... You want me to scratch your behind, Dave? Huh? You want me to scratch your behind? Is that what you want? So Jackson doesn't want Dave to be friends with me. He will, and see, he's territorial. He's very territorial. He's going to come... He's going to come and chase Dave away from me, just like that. So what happened, so I can tell you what we did next. So we're like, okay, this is not okay. So this pasture is small enough that Jackson can man the whole pasture. That's all he does, is he's in charge of this whole pasture. Is that right, Jackson? You're just territorial. And he's definitely boss of Dave. We decided to take them down into the big pasture. And this way, and with no cows. We decided to take them down there, no cows in sight. And that way, the pasture is big enough that Jackson can hopefully not man all of it. And Dave, being much bigger, will be able to, have a little more room. And it did work the way that we had hoped it would, but not for a while. It took about 3 days of them having this pasture all to themselves before they settled down and started grazing next to each other. And although Dave is much bigger, he doesn't know his size and strength. and he's easily intimidated by Jackson. So all Jackson has to do is kind of walk after him, and when Dave starts running, and then Jackson would feel dominant and, start chasing him. And I noticed that Jackson's goal was to get a hold of Dave's neck, and this is how he would do with an animal that's much smaller than him. This is what makes them, guard donkeys. They get a hold of the neck, and then they shake to break the neck and bring them down on the ground where they can trample on them. However, Dave's size gave him a big advantage. His gentle nature is what was his disadvantage. But gradually, with more space, we noticed that Dave started standing his ground and teaching Jackson a lesson. So he would use his hooves, and Jackson would back off, and then gradually they started to become more comfortable in each other's presence. But the thing is, as long as there was no cows in the pasture, they were friends. But as soon as there was a cow around, Jackson just turned on Dave and would become very territorial and make Dave stay in his corner. But we did see progress. After a couple days, we started seeing progress. We started seeing them not exactly be best friends, but start to tolerate each other. Or mostly, I would say Jackson started tolerating Dave being peaceful in the pasture next to him. So after 4 days on pasture and 4 days of them hanging out in opposite ends of the pasture and 4 days of Jackson chasing Dave all around the pasture, these two seem to have made their peace. Look at that! I'm so happy. Are you guys friends now? Good job, boys. Be nice. Yep. Seems mostly that Jackson has decided that Dave is too big of an opponent. Is that right, Jackson? So as long as there's a cow in the pasture, Jackson is in charge and Dave is the underdog. But if you separate them from the cows, then the two donkeys graze together and are friends. So we left them down there in the big pasture for quite a while. And then we had one cow up here, and every time the cow would moo, Jackson would find a way to slip under the fence, because we have the fence pretty high because that's where we need it for cows, right? So he would find a spot. Every time a cow would moo up here by the barn, he would find a spot, run under the fence, and come up here to the cows. So we decided to put him and Dave back up here where we keep one cow, just because that saved me from having to chase donkeys. But our plan is to fix the fence down there so that so the donkeys can be out there, because that's where they're friends. As long as there's a cow around, Jackson is going to have to guard the cow. That's what he thinks. So here you can see, here is, hang on. So here you can see Dave and Tom, and then of course Jackson, and they'll all hang out back here together. And as long as Dave minds his P's and Q's, they can all be friends. Is that right, Jackson? As long as Dave minds his P's and Q's, they can all be friends. But so our long-term goal, and the lady that gave us Jackson, The story behind that is she said, if it doesn't work out, just bring him home. But what we want to do is we want to buy a Jenny, a female donkey, so that we can have the experience of having a baby donkey. And so that's why we hung on to him. That's why we tried so hard to make it work, and why we're working on it. And as long as we don't see him, guarding the, feed and the water, it'll work for us, because that's how animals are. They are territorial like that. And even with the cows and, the chickens, you're going to have a boss cow that, eats from the best part of the hay bale, or, you just have boss animals. That's how it works. And the fact that he is an intact male, that's for sure going to give him an advantage and make him be boss animal. No, be nice. Oh, you must have taken a dust bath. Oh. You must have taken a dust bath. Well guys, that brings us to the end of the donkey portion of our video, but please stick around, because what I'm going to show you next is some clips and bits and pieces of a very fun evening that we had here on the farm, hosting a harvest party for our community and family and friends. So first, we loaded up one of our fat hogs. Actually, they're a little over 100 pounds. And we took it to our local butcher shop, where they, dispatched it and gutted it and hung it up to chill. And they, scraped all the hair off, the best they could anyway, because it's part Mangalitsa. They told us it was really, really hard to get all the hair off. But we also rented the smoker from our butcher shop. So after our family dinner, our weekly family dinner, the whole family pitched in to prepare for the next day's party. We loaded up all the patio furniture and took that out to the new building, or the shop as we call it. We set up some games. You haven't seen it yet? And then it was finally time to prepare, or to start, roasting our hog. So we used a total of 80 pounds of charcoal. We put the first 40 pounds in for the first half of the roasting. We also sprayed the hog down with apple cider and covered it with Lowry's seasoned salt. And we did all this before we put it over the charcoal.
Actually, maybe I'll save this guy if you finish him off. I'll save this one.
So we put the hog on late at night. We wanted to roast it for a good 15 to 20 hours. And we put the 40 pounds of charcoal on before we went to bed. And then this was the next morning at about 7 a.m. And the boys said when they got up, they said, Mom, come quick. It smells like bacon out here. So then in the morning, we opened it up, took the hog off, and added another 40 pounds of charcoal. When we put the hog back onto the roaster this time for the second half of the roasting, we flip it end to end because we are now on countdown until guests start to arrive, and we want to be careful to make sure that the internal temperature of the front shoulders of the hog reaches, 150 to 160 so that it's safe to consume. And we continue to spray it down with apple cider to keep it moist and give it an apple wood flavor. So after we've gotten the hayride all set up, we take some time to try it out. And our friends start arriving just as it's time for us to milk our cow for the evening, and Hadassah takes on that chore with plenty of company.
Where's Dad?
Someone use the
They're
pictures.
moving the cooker.
Here's the Razorback.
I'm gonna break its nose off. Hey, push it in.
Got it. Wait. It's an interesting process. Wow. And how
Look at that meat right there.
Right?
Look at that meat right there.
What is it?
Yeah.
I have never seen anything.
I got an insulated glove.
Great, so you come.